Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here to review Speaking Parts from 1989. This is a movie that was to go on and through title, it's like, okay, you've intrigued me, movie. Then eventually I was to find out the description of film, then started watching the film, and further along the rabbit hole we went of just me being interested by this film, even though also there are some downsides to it, and I'll talk about that. So, what is to be Speaking Parts? We come to find that a woman makes her way into this movie rental store, a bit of nostalgia, I get it. And she goes on to this movie rental store and is renting these unusual films to the point to where the clerk is like, you know what? Like, I've gone on and have everybody Joe Schmo come in here and I can figure them out. But you, dear lady, are a mystery. So I want to go on and I want to know why exactly you're picking out these films. They're not very good, as well as also, like, why these? They're a wide variety. There's some adult content in there. There's some other stuff. So why are you picking these? So Lisa goes on to admit that she is to be, how I will say it, is that she's honestly obsessed with somebody. And she's obsessed with this actor. And this actors go on and be in these very specific roles that are to seemingly be of non-importance. He's to be a background character. And so Lisa goes on to try and find these films just to find out where he is in the film and watch them. Because he doesn't have a speaking part within the movies. And Eddie will go on and mention that. It's like, well, he doesn't have an actual role in the film. He doesn't have a speaking part. So that's where the whole title comes in. So also there's going to be more to that eventually when we get there. So that actor ends up going on to be a character known as Lance. Lance will come to find to end up being this maintenance-esh like clerk that is to go on and be working at this hotel that also Lisa is to be working on as well. And that's where eventually her infatuation starts to happen with Lance. So Lance goes on and is to be a guy working in this hotel in this maintenance area. And there seems to, I feel, in this hotel be some shenanigans going on that is not quite exactly to be completely explained to you, or some things we just have to kind of leave to our imagination within this film of trying to figure out what is going on at certain points of it. And then eventually that ending, though, was just like, huh? Like, that's the way you're going to end the film? Okay, by all means. But if anything, I'm like, that ending, though. But so, we come to find that Lance is going to be running through this hotel through all of these women. And eventually he stumbles upon one that benefits him greatly because he's to be a guy that wants to up his acting skill by finally getting a speaking part. So Lance will go on and meet with Clara, and Clara will go on and seemingly be what she used to say at first to be a casting director, but we'll find out differently. But she's a part of this film. And the more that Lance is to have interactions with Clara, the more it seems that it's surefire that Lance is going to get this role. We are to go on and be concerned that Lance is probably going to forget about all about this woman because he's like, well, hey, I want to get this role and I don't give a shit about anything else. Because also we start to realize that this guy is to probably be using people for his advantage, I feel. So Lance goes on to get this role, and we'll come to find out that the movie is to go on and from once he is to first get the first draft of it to by the time that he goes on to do the role and is to be involved in this project, he is to find out that it is to be drastically changed to where there was a brother and sister story, now there's a brother story. And the further and further we go on to have Clara, who let's be more honest about this film. Clara, eventually, we come to find out, is actually to be the writer of this film, and she further and further is to realize that this story is going to get drastically changed, and she is to be very heartbroken about that because this story was actually based on her real life, and so she had went on to pitch this to these people. They loved it. They wanted her to seemingly cast people at first, but then eventually we'll find out that the producer really takes control of this project and gives Clara the boot. And yeah, we really get upset about how it drastically changes because man, does this guy really put his producer really puts his stamp on it, and it really just like, oh, just, oh man. But that's the business for you. That's the way of which that the tables turn. So, and I've seen other examples of so many times when uh, people acting wise will go on and not be involved in projects for certain reasons and drastic changes and a number of other things. But anyways, or just take it because they're just so desperate. So speaking parts to me, like the movie is very flat. The movie eventually has not really a cohesive ending by the end, where it's just like, okay, just whatever this is, just to kind of give us just some kind of visuals, and then pa, just end. I'm like it hurts my brain by the end. It's just like, wait a minute, like what was going on in my brain? Was some of this stuff actually happening? Was it that our characters were just in stressful situations? What was going on? Like this movie obviously should have ended in a way of which that is to probably give us a happy ending or had me be satisfied. But regardless, it kind of left me very unsatisfied. I was very much like I felt nothing by the end of the movie. You gave me nothing, film, nothing. But I still was to go on and enjoy the ride of this movie. I thought that this movie was interesting, so at the end of the day, I will thumbs up this movie. I will say that it's interesting, or I'll say it's a fine film, fine plus, somewhere in there. Um, Solid, fine film. I want to give it a thumbs up. I want to say at the end of the day, it was almost okay, but like, like, like there's just the flatness of the film will probably go on and make a lot of people just like, man, like the performances on this felt like a Lorno or something like that, just like a very low budgety like where's more of the skin movie, because there is some skin here but there's not enough probably for enough people. But it kind of goes in that direction of performances and also like us expecting that there's going to be a load of skin in this movie, and there probably isn't enough for you, but there is to have been enough to have interested me to just like, oh yeah, there's something here. So if you guys don't know what a Lorno is, you probably have to go on and check out the Ryan Reynolds Jason Bateman movie where they talk about it. And there's not much I can go on and fully explain besides that because YouTube. Anyways, so speaking of talking about this movie and now wanting to compare it, what kind of really comes to mind is the Ty Sheridan movie, Night Clerk, that was in 2020. That's what came to mind while I was watching this. Also, it reminded me of a movie that, of course, I have to spell some of it because it's a certain word, and I'm trying to avoid cussing as much as possible, even though every once in a while stuff flies out. If you know what I mean, Burn. So there is also a movie called Good, D-I-C-H. I had reviewed it at one point on the channel. You can check that out. You probably will get something out of that. I don't know. But regardless, that's also a movie that exists that I had reviewed at some certain point. So, if anything, I've reviewed a lot of on this channel. So, and not all of it good. But regardless, it's just been consistently me trying to just put content out. And also, this just somehow just intrigued me, and I just was suckered into it, if anything. So my bad if anybody is to go on and not like this movie. But where can you go on and find it if you're to go on and want to desperately go on and do so? Well, I will say, go out of your way to go into a Google Play Store if you are to be a mobile user of some kind, and download an app called Movie Box 3. The title won't say that, but the logo will. Download this app. Dare in fact be able to watch this movie for absolutely free, and then find a number of assortment of projects that you'll would have had to have gone on and probably went to the theater to have seen. Would have probably had to have gone on to have a specific app with a subscription to see, yada 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 yada, and be able to watch a load of content for absolutely free. So you're welcome, but I apologize if this is a crappy film to you that you did not like. But regardless, I was to go on and check it out and just had something to put on the channel. So I'm sorry. With that said, I think it's about that time to just whip out my cast list where I insist to go on and help me rattle this whole entire movie off. Weirdly enough, also in the cast order of lists, when I was looking into it, I'm like, that's obviously not actually the person's name in the movie. Like in the cast list of IMDb, there's like father, bride, groom, and I'm like, well, that's Trish, that's Ronnie. The brother who is to go on and die, that's Clarence. Uh, I'll get into more specifics when I get into spoilers of who all these people are and why they all exist. But anyways, let's go on pause here. Let's get this movie a bit of uploaded. Thank you for going and watching this because I do appreciate you checking out these kind of rarefied air of titles. As far as future reviews, I'm still going on and hoping that I'm going to do another thing of Power Rangers fairly soon. That is going to, I hope, be very consistent. Plus, also, it seems that those reviews are eventually going well. We'll see how long that lasts. Also, I'm to still try to find as much as possible the best possible movie slash store thing that is to have that movie store theme. Maybe not a movie store, but a store within a movie nonetheless. So I'm trying to consistently have that pattern throughout this entire month of November. And once we get into December, I'm going to try to get more, would hope, Christmas content. As in all honesty, I would in the past do like Christmas adjacent things, and like that would go on and just be just like the fun weird thing to go into. But I think I actually want to go on and actually do Christmas stuff this year instead of just going on and just kind of doing uh, just stuff to avoid it. Because, yeah, like there'd be often times where I'm just like, yeah, I just really don't want to actually do Christmas movies because, like, they only go for like really 1 month out of the year. Like Halloween films, you could probably you can watch year round. Um, like even movies that have some kind of Thanksgiving connection, like people don't really remember them having a Thanksgiving connection. So it's like I can do those all day long if I could find them. Also, there's a movie that High Tension I think has a like a Thanksgiving thing to it, or there's some kind of action film that I know I have in my notes somewhere that I have to kind of thumb through and find it again, and that has something to do with Thanksgiving. I'll probably have to check that out and watch it. So that might be a thing that I'll go on and I'll do. There's so much content throughout this channel at this point that not all of it are the best quality, and it's getting down to the point where I'm just like, man, I just really have not much to offer people anymore. It's either at this point it's like new releases or just like find um like something that like somehow can get me into film or show or something. But with that said, let's pause this here and I'll get out all my stuff. Humpernickel. All right, okay, you people out there. Spoilers, everybody. It is spoil time. Spoil time. It's about that time. You guys better to spoil this movie. Let me know your favorite lore now. What a mistake. Yeah, if you have a movie that you like some skin, like let me know in the comments below. It's okay. Like forget, yeah, like then everybody gets to know that there's a movie with some stuff out there. There's some things visually interesting accomplishments of movie. It doesn't have to be a good film; it just has to be a film. So let me know in the comments below. If anything, yeah, like there's very rarefied air about people who go on and comment. So I'm sure your privacy, specifically in this video, will be very much abided by. Anyways, but it's okay because all these reviews and things they're fun for me to do, regardless of where this channel actually goes. I'm having fun. I hope a lot of people have fun also. I hope people go on and find some interesting shows and movies through which I go on and I talk. So regardless of what ends up actually happening here, and things have actually been going really well. So thank you guys for all being a part of that, because I really do really believe in my farts that it really is great that this is going on and doing better on the current type of day. So, with that said, let's push on here. So, in the beginning of this movie, it starts off in a graveyard. That's a weird situation to start a movie off of, but whatever. Whatever floats your boat, film. So, Clara goes on and makes her way through a graveyard. And I'm like, okay, all right. Like, there's some interesting bit of graveyard here. We have, like, pictures and stuff like that. It's like, okay, all right. That's interesting. So, I'm kind of interested to find out if this movie was shot, like, very guerrilla style, or I'm kind of curious of the money of this film. Anyways, so the next thing we see is a woman who is watching a wedding unfold through a movie, and that is to be a woman known as Lisa. Lisa's going on and watching this wedding. I'm like, okay, what is this wedding about? What is that? What does this matter? All of a sudden, in the background, we go on and further, get our eyes ever so closer on this one dude. And I'm like, okay, what is that about? What is that about, Lisa? Tell me. I need to know. Come to find out, the guy in the background is the actor known as Lance. Yeah, so, and she will be stating that this is to be her lover, but it's to be more of a guy that she's just obsessed about. And the more that she even is to go on and try to throw herself at this guy, the more he's like, no, not really. Because this guy just wants to be a bachelor because he's to go on and just make his way through the women in this hotel. So, yeah, he's not wanting to settle down with a girl like Lisa, or really go on and just be with her because he'll just date her. And whereas all these other women, he's just kind of going through them within this hotel. I say through in a very horrible fashion. I'm like, for how we kind of look at this in my brain and how Lance, yeah, like it seems like he's being offered to these people, and it just doesn't look right. Just meh. Anyways, moving on. So the next thing we see here is Clara making her way to this area of an indoor coffin exhibit looking place. I say mausoleum or some kind of thing because I don't exactly know the term of this. Someone can correct me in the comments below of what this area actually is to actually be, because I always get it probably incorrect anyways. So Clara's going on to make her way to this coffin where she's going to open this coffin thing up to have this TV screen displayed where she's going on through a memory of her lost loved one. We'll come to find out that this lost loved one is to actually go on and be her brother. Her brother that had gone on to die while giving Clara his lung through a transplant. That's what happens with him. And eventually, by the end of the film, when we find out that everything is getting changed and adjusted and whatever, we're heartbroken by all those things occurring. Moving on. So, Lance is going on doing his laundry. He's putting his whites in the washer and giving them a good old rinsing. A good old 1-2-1-2. And Lisa in the shadow is to appear behind him. I'm like, okay, that's a little creepy. Lisa goes on and to make her way. I'm like, Lisa, this isn't the time, Lisa. How about you peek out of the shadows a little bit later? Say 2 o'clock. Anyways, no, I'm just being a little funny. So Lisa goes on. She peeks out of the shadows, and then she starts walking up these stairs. I'm like, okay, creepy. But the next thing we see is Lance goes to open this dryer. He opens it up and realizes that there's a bouquet of flowers there. There's roses there. Lance doesn't go on to look around. All he does is go on and take these dozen roses and he puts it in a vase somewhere, a vase for some of you folks out there. It's pronounced vase. It's pronounced vase. So, and this whole time we also have Clara, who is again watching the clip of her brother as he is kind of in some woods somewhere, and he's getting ever so closer to the camera. Eventually, like in the later half of this, we'll get it revealed that also Clara is in that same bit of footage, and she's like with him, and like the two of them are just like having this moment together, brother and sister. We could have also probably assumed that Clara's brother, like at first I thought it was like, oh, so like that's a past lover of hers, and now that she's lost him, well, like I guess all the more reason for Lance to just step in and pitch hit, right? Yeah, not so much. Not so much of Clarence being the past lover. That's where I was going with there. So now we cut to there being these sheets and towels shooting through this pipe. We come to find Elisa, who is grabbing all these sheets and dispensing them in a certain way because she is cleaning some and then also she's picking some up so that way she can put the cleaner sheets into other people's rooms. All the while that's going on, we have Lance, who is going through these rooms and setting the beds, as well as also cleaning the bidet. If you guys don't know what a bidet is, it's the thing that goes right next to the toilet, where it goes on and has a seemingly fountain that makes its way out to sprinkle when you are to seemingly need a end to get a little bit of cleaning. So, if you know what I mean, and bidets. If anything, when the Cove hit, yeah, like everybody was like, "Hey, maybe I should have a bidet." Yeah, that is probably come and gone now, right? Anyways, so and plus also, what was the good of bidets, anyways? Moving on. So Lisa goes on to find where Lance is doing his thing in one of his rooms because again, Lisa's a bit of a person that continues to follow Lance. So Lisa is to tell Lance, "Hey, I have these towels for you. They are the last ones, but I got them specifically for you." Yeah, Lance isn't gonna really just be like, "Oh my God, Lisa, thrust you on the bed right now and take you." No, I'm sorry, Lance just is to go on, leave the room, and wait for Lisa to just leave, and then he'd be like, "Oh, thank God." So Clara goes on and makes her way to this hotel, gets a room, and Lisa goes on and makes her way to the After Dark movie rental place. We would have Lance that goes on and makes his way through a clothing store, and he gets a big old whiff of the shoe. Don't know why he does that, but that exists on film. Clara goes on and gets her room, is just slapped down on the bed like she's a bed slapper. And Lisa goes on and starts to make her way through the rentals in this movie store. So here is where we, of course, go on and we have Eddie, who is the guy behind the counter, who's just kind of looking at her like, that girl. I don't know what it is about her. I probably won't end up with her, but god dang, am I just like, why can't she be just like everyone else? So, Lance has made his way to now a restaurante, and he is going on, he's taking a bit of a swig of wine, and Clara's going on and taking a picture out of course, Clarence. And this guy really dominates some Clarence of like this guy really dominates Clara's life, and it's understandable because of how much this person meant to her. Like, there's nothing wrong with this, but I'm just like, man, like, like, like if she did not go on and have like a shrine of this guy, I'd be like, okay, we're getting a little too much here, but if any, it's right. It's right that she is to go on and remember this brother of hers that was to go on and give her life for her. So yeah, so like I'm probably wrong about making a joke of this, but I'm just like, man, like a lot of Clarence in a short amount of time in this film. But still, yeah, it's just to set up how important this character is. So let's go on here. So now Lisa's going on and watching another film. She's having a good old time watching seemingly a movie about a number of people who are going on and doing some kind of probably satanic rituals of sorts. We have seemingly Lance, who's a little tied up in the background. He's just like having a good old time, just like, yeah, I'm just hanging here. It's like, I can't really say anything because I'm an extra, but I'm just back here, just, hanging out and just having a good old time. Just naked, pretty much, and just chest and out, and just like, hey, where did my life go? So Clara goes on and she's starting to look through these photos because it seems that Clara is to have the ability to cast people within this film. And so she's looking through photos of certain guys to try to figure out who is going to be involved in her film. So the next thing we see is finally Lisa's to make it to the counter with all these rentals. I hope there's something in her. There's something in there for late night good times. I hope that there's something in there for some enjoyment. So here's where we, of course, have Eddie that is to go on, and it's like, wait a minute, like, you know what? You've gone through like all these different genres of film compared to everybody else, and Lisa's like, well, what's the problem with that? And Eddie's like, well, yeah, but you bring them back, but they're not like fully rewound, so you're not watching the whole entire film every single time. So, so, what are you taking away? What are you profiting on these movies? Like, what are you getting out of them? So, after Eddie goes on and explains about all the genres that she's gone on to watch at this point, we have Lisa that goes on to explain to Eddie. It's like, well, this is to be an actor that is to be involved in every one of these movies. He is to be my lover. And I honestly say lover with a question mark because she's more kind of obsessed than really to say it's a lover, in all honesty. So Eddie says, like, well, he's an actor. And So Lisa says, like, yeah, like, I like to watch all of his scenes, and Eddie's trying to buy this. He's trying to, like, okay, like, so you really like an actor? Like, hey, like, anybody can go on and like some Angelina Jolie's or Brad Pitt's or maybe Steve Gutenberg for some of you ladies out there. Maybe you like whatever I can. I don't know, any kind of whatever films. Maybe you're just like whatever actor. I don't know. Aquafina for some of you goats. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, so Aquafina is great. Anyways, so Lisa further goes on to explain that Lance, he also goes on and does this acting gig at night, but during the day, he also works alongside her at this hotel, and that's how he's uh, to be around Lisa. So that way, Lisa's like, well, yeah, like, I know this guy, like, I've had some interaction with him, like, and also the whole lover thing. So, and Eddie goes on of like, well, how is it that he can go on and do both acting as well as also work at this hotel thing? And Lisa's like, well, he calls off sick or uh, he takes days off. And so Eddie's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's he must be really dedicated into this whole acting thing. So Eddie is to go on and realize that this specific actor is to just be an extra. And the more important thing is like, well, why is it you're focusing on watching these movies if he's just going to be in the background and never have a speaking part? And Lisa's like, well, I don't really care. He's on the screen. He's in a movie. Like that's the yeah. Like so, there's a disconnect there. But so she's watching this person that's just in the background of a movie, and that's so interesting. I feel as to clickbait me into this film. So the next thing we see is Lance. He's going on and he's talking to the hotel manager and seemingly another guy who is to seemingly be having very long stretching of hair and very good looking. So we have the hotel manager that's going on and talking to Lance and stating how Lance is to go on and not exactly be very vocal and the hotel manager is like, hey, from time to time, just greet people, compliment them more, sound like a human being from time to time. That's all I ask. And so the store manager or hotel manager is going on and saying also, like, I'm going to have a new friend come in here that I think you might be interested in, uh, as well as also how are things going on with you and Lisa, the girl that, of course, was kind of upset that we were stalking with her, or stalking Lance. Lance is to go on and just say, like, well, yeah, it's fine. Asks if she's still bothering him. It's like, not really, but yeah, she is. The hotel manager says, well, I can figure out some reason to let her go. I think we can come up with probably something. And Lance is like, no, just drop it. Like, it's not even worth it. Like, just, it's fine. Who cares? Like, because this girl is oogling and obsessed about me, like, I don't think Lance would go on and mind it all that much either. Because who wouldn't? Even though, like, that's horrible if a guy like Lance is just kind of letting her on, that's a thing to do. But maybe he's just going on. He doesn't want Lisa to really lose her job. Maybe in his brain, that's the morally good decision that he's trying to make here. So then we see Lisa. Lisa's going on and she's doing a little bit of a spray, Windex, water, whatever this is, and then she's kind of scraping something that's kind of gross. We see that Lance is to go on and make his way into Clara's room. He goes on to look at her desk, peek through her things, and starts to notice that there is a story that is to be there for him to start reading. It seems that Lance is to taking a liking to this, so Lance goes on and is to get a yellow envelope to be brought to this girl's room and puts it underneath her door and is to put his like 8 by 10 and his resume down and be like, yeah, cast me in this movie because I finally want to get a speaking part. So we have Clara. She's in this meeting with the producer who is not there. He's kind of on location. He's via satellite, whatever you want to say here. Zoom call, whatever it is to be the equivalent of this time of what they're doing here. Clara is to go on and state that the movie is starting to get casted, and the producer is telling Clara, it's like, well, hey, nothing yet has been finalized. So, like, if anything, like, you can make any suggestions you want to this movie. If anything, like, you can kind of cast this movie, uh, and make certain decisions and so on because you've wrote the thing. So, uh, we also would come to find that here's where Clara goes on uh, to talk to the producer about the hotel that she's going into. And like, well, hey, how's your stay at the hotel? Like, you just came in. Like, how are things? And Clara's like, oh yeah, well, like the new hotel, it's great. And the producer's like, well, yeah, it's very intimate there. So Clara makes her way to her hotel room, opens up her door, and here's where she sees the yellow envelope. She opens it. She looks at, of course, Lance's resume. Then we keep seeing Clarence, and he's going through this bit of woods, and we keep seeing that thing pop up. We at certain points just keep seeing these images just kind of throughout the film just keep popping up, and we're just trying to connect the dots of why we keep seeing these, but they're just there to just say, hey, this character is still important in the movie. That's why also I was kind of bickering about the whole Clarence thing, because I'm like, god dang, they use him like just we keep seeing him pop up in places. So Eddie is going on and talking to Lisa, and they're at the After Dark rental store, movie rental store. So Eddie goes on and hands Lisa this movie, and he tells her, "Yeah, this movie gets rented out a lot. So here, go on, take this, rent it." And Lisa's like, "Well, why does it get rented so often?" And Eddie's like, "I have no idea. Like, I don't really watch much of this stuff, but I just know that I see a lot of people with it, so it must be good." And Lisa's like, "Wait a minute, like you don't know enough about the movies and so, that you're selling it. Like, why not?" So Eddie will go on and tell Lisa here that's like, well, hey, like I'm just the guy that is to kind of deal more of like the renting of the equipment stuff, and like that's his actual part of this job is like the maintenance and the take care of all the other equipment and stuff, and not the movie rental things. He just kind of does the movie rental stuff on the side. So Eddie goes on to explain to Lisa that he takes this certain equipment to go to these like bar mitzvahs, weddings, public locations, celebrations of events and things like that, and do these documentaries of these events and sell them back to these people. He also goes on and also does certain very low budget films that maybe Lore knows. Anyways, so uh, now we get to Clara. Clara is to go on, and after looking at Lance's resume, he is to give him a good old jingle. So the two of them make their way to this very specific office where there's a camcorder in place, and you're thinking, where is this going? No, 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 no. Not anywhere quite yet. So we have Claire that goes on to tell Lance how he had gone on to like slip his resume under her door, and Lance is like, well, I heard that you were in the hotel, and like I don't have an agent, so I thought like I just so happened to stumble upon your script and I read it, and so I wanted to be involved. I was hoping that I can get onto an audition. And Claire's like, oh, so you're going on, you're working in this hotel. Uh, like, what do you do there? And he's like, oh, well, I'm part time and I'm a consultant, which is bullshit. He's just a maintenance guy, and he actually works there full time. But he's saying part time because in his mind he's more dedicated to acting. So he lies, but also so does Clara, because Clara will say that she's a casting director, which is also a lie. She's the writer of the movie. So Lance says that he's to have worked in the hotel because he books entertainment, which again bullshit. Like he entertains himself by by booking himself in movies. So pushing on here. We go on to have Lance read for this role, as of course Clara is to set up the camera, turn it on, and uh, so the next thing we see here is we click back to both Eddie and Lisa. They're at this wedding. Uh, as they're at this wedding because they're watching it via this tape that has this combo of TV and VCR. We're in VCR days, folks. So Eddie is going on with Lisa and watching this footage, and we come to find that Eddie had interviewed the father of the bride. And we'll come to find this guy later on in the film, because eventually his son will go on and get married also in this film, so it'll be a weird coincidence. We'll see this guy more than once. So the reason why we're seeing the father of the bride here, and the reason why this is important, is because Eddie is going on and asking this guy a question about how he is to go on and feel about his daughter going on and getting married, like what is kind of going through his mind. And eventually the father does go on and break down, start to get emotional, and Lisa's like, oh my god, like you really got that out of him so easily. And Eddie's like, well, yeah, you just gotta kind of hit the right buttons and ask the right question and phrase it the right way, and like it gives you a very unique performance that this person will earnestly probably give, but still, it'll be something really good for the film that someone will kind of look back on later. So we now transition to Lance. There's nothing to be scared of. You've done this sort of operation before. I couldn't forgive myself if anything happens to you. Why should anything go wrong? The doctor said, there's a risk, that's all. And it's a risk I have to take. You're my sister. You're not gonna watch. I'm not gonna watch you die. So eventually, we'll go on and we'll hear this repeatedly over and over and over again at some point in the film. It'll get probably really annoying to a number of people, but we'll start to see this dialogue repetitiously being used in the film because people are going on and looking at Lance like, yeah, this guy, like, there's a look about him. There, like, it seems that the way he's delivering this, it seems that it's like honest, but maybe it doesn't have really much motion behind it. But maybe there's something there. I don't know. Again, this is a cold read, so yeah, like Lance doesn't have to go on and really uh, give you a fistful of emotion right now. So yeah, like eventually somewhere down the road, the emotion will probably actually be there. If anything, this is just kind of a formality to see if this guy could really breathe these lines and really have something behind them. So Claire, of course, ends up getting interested in Lance to be like, yeah, like that sounded fine. That was good. Like, all right. So Lance is like, well, should I do it again? Also, I have a question. So Lance ends up asking, do I find out that you're dying in the scene? His sister is his sister dying in the scene? And like the further and further the Lance is actually asking questions here, the better that is. Because he cares, like he's interested, and that makes you in a casting audition. It makes you stick out. Like if you care about what's going on, if you're before you get into the scene, if you ask questions, that actually tells the person you give a you give a flying f, you care, you give a about what's going on. So you're invested, and also whatever you can do to just stand out. I know like Seth Green had gone on when he auditioned for Family Guy. He did one thing one way, and then he's like, you know what? Like I was just kind of working on this weird, goofy character. Like I know that it's really gonna be stupid to do, but I'm just like, you know what? Let's throw this out there. Let's throw caution to the wind. And coincidentally, that one voice was the one that got him into doing the Family Guy show. So good for him that he ended up going on and doing that kind of just random thing because it ended up working in the show, and it gave him this longevity of career. So Clara goes on and tells Lance that it's like, no, 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 no. Like, you found out before that this sister was dying. So, like, this isn't just, like, you're realizing how this is going to really be important to you. And, and this, you donating your lung is really going to be saving this person's life. And that you realize that your sister is died. So you, like, the clock is a ticking. So I've already I've kind of already gone over what everybody or what Lisa and Eddie thing says. I kind of covered all of that. I kind of went through all that, so I'm not going to go through that. I'm going to kind of cut through here. So Lance goes on and tries to like make a second run at this and tries to see what lines are better, and eventually Claire just kind of stops Lance. Is like, well, what do you think of the script so far? And Lance is like, I like it. Like it's a bit it's a bit difficult. And Clara's like, well, believing in it, and Lance is like, yeah, that's the problem. And it's like, all right, all right, all right, like there's something there again. So because Clara's writing it and she wants to figure out like where the actor part of it fits in. So now transition back to Eddie and Lisa. They leave from the room that they were in watching that tape, and they make their way back to the counter. Lisa's actually interested in what Eddie is doing as a side business, as his, or technically as this business, but she's interested in seeing him record these events, whatever they end up being. Lisa's interested. Lisa goes on and begs Eddie, like, well, hey, how about I go on with you and I help you somehow? Like, I help you film, like, I help ask questions, anything. And, like, I'll help you move things, like, whatever you need. Like, you don't have to pay me, I'll do it for free. Like, maybe I'll even interview people. And Eddie's like, if you think you can do it, like, you have to kind of ask them in a very specific manner of things. Uh, and so Lisa's like, well, hey, whatever you want me to do, like, I'm willing to be part of this. Like, this really is interesting, so on and so like, so. Uh, so eventually, Lisa will kind of manipulate her way into doing that. She really will, because eventually she just kind of shows up in one of the shoots, and then goes on and is to just kind of just keep showing up. So it's kind of just a little bit weird. So now back with Clara and Lance. This keeps cutting back and forth here. Lance goes on and asks Clara if he really, through her, thinks that he really has a chance at getting this role or just getting anything, because again, he just wants to keep working. And Clara's like, well, it's not exactly up to me. And like, this really is your first speaking part, right? And on film. And Lance is like, well, yeah. And Lance is like, well, I've done theater work. It's like, yeah, um, it counts, but but he's done some things, but nothing too big. Uh, so here's where Lance goes on and confesses that he really does work full time at the hotel, and he's just a housekeeper. Oh, so he's not maintenance; he's a housekeeper. I say maintenance just because housekeeper just that just sounds like a weird title. And here's where he goes on and he talks about the script thing and how he went on to kind of sneak his resume in. Uh, and Clara's like, well, do you do that often? Take chances? And Lance is like, well, sometimes, when they're interesting. As they get ever so closer and closer and closer, we're thinking, like, just kiss her already. And then when they actually do get intimate and they do kiss, it's like, it seems to just happen out of nowhere. It seems like we've missed a scene somewhere where both Clara and Lance, like, really got busy, but we didn't see that. Like, it just seems like there is some stuff that I feel was maybe cut on the cutting room floor of this film, and that's sad. Or maybe there was never that, and I'm still just like, okay, what did we miss? That's like, maybe there was something else more important going on besides that, but like, that kind of like just comes out of nowhere when they start to really get ever so close and they even kiss, and it's like, wait, what? Like, we didn't get what? Where is the kissing and happening? Why is that happening now? Anyways, cut to Lisa. She's going on and she's punching her time card. We have Lance who's in his bed. He's flopping around like a dead fish. Not that not there's anything wrong with that. He's just flopping around out of his bed, getting out of bed. Lisa's going on and making her way through the hotel. She's getting certain towels assorted. Jordan realizes that he is to, of course, be way too late, and so he's scrambling to get his clothes on and thrusts his way into the elevator. The next thing we'll see is Clara. Clara's going on into another meeting where I believe she's completely just oblivious of. She's just kind of like lost in her thoughts. Lance makes his way into his locker, and bizarrely, when he opens his locker, there's a picture of himself there. That's very weird. Uh, it's very weird, Lance. Don't have a picture of yourself on your locker. A little self-absorbed there, Lance. No, it makes sense. Because when you open the locker, it's like, hey, there's a picture of you. All right, that's who you are. Yeah, whatever. Let's move on here. So, again, Clara is to be distracted by her own thoughts. Eventually, Clara is to be consistently called out for. Clara turns to the producer. Lance makes his way to Lisa. Uh, Lisa's going on and fixing more sheets. So Lance again makes his way to the hotel manager. The hotel manager is to complain to Lance, like, yeah, you're a little late today. And the hotel manager's like, well, like, we can be flexible and this and that. So, like, when is it exactly that you're to go on and need to leave today? Because yeah, Lance is to go on and have something else going on. And the hotel manager also says, like, well, hey, like, uh, how do you think about the friend from 106, huh? And Lance is like, well, yeah, I want to schedule another appointment for her, with her, probably sometime in the afternoon. And the hotel manager's like, well, yeah, she's kind of been smitten with you. So, pushing on, we have Clara, who's to show the producers and all the people the clip on this little TV of Lance reading these lines. And he reads them off, and they go over and over and over again, these whole lines. So the producers are going like, all right, like, is this the guy that it seems you're really interested in for this role? And like, if anything, they're going to think it over, but ultimately they're going to go on and finalize it and have Lance be this other character, I believe is David. Because Clara says that this is her choice. And the producer is going to go on and respect that. And Clara goes on and is to complain to the producer about how there are some revisions in her script. She's going to find out there's going to be a lot more revisions than that. So, that this guy is going to take complete control of this project. So, Clara goes on and realizes that there is to be a talk show to be presented in this movie, and that's not what she wanted. She wanted there to be much more of there being it in a doctor hospital location. And the producer goes on like, well, like, the talk show thing was my decision, like, it makes a lot more sense, and it's much more interesting than a doctor's office. I honestly think that this producer, just wanted to do that just to change it up, because maybe a talk show thing is not something that he's done quite as often. So he wanted just that location, that background, just to have some kind of thing on his resume. And the more that the two of them kind of fight about the whole, like, talk show hospital thing, the more we're gonna have to realize that the producer is just gonna win. Plus, also, the producer is to mention how, like, well, Clara, like, this isn't one of your university lectures. Like, this isn't a classroom anymore. So you're not presenting a thesis. So yeah, so really, this producer guy just wants something flashy. Let's admit it. And he's like, we're telling a story here. And Claire's like, well, yeah, it's my story. And the producer's like, well, it isn't time to argue. And Claire's like, well, when is it time to argue? Like, do you want me to physically meet you in a location and we will talk about this? And the producer's like, well, I'm kind of busy right now. It's like, well, like, I'll come to you then. Like, I'll come to you and we'll talk this out. And the producer's like, well, I can't talk like this. And he just shuffles off. So the next thing we see is Lance in another room with a woman that is probably in a shower, who he's probably also gone on to have some good old times with, that we haven't got to have seen in this movie, sadly enough. No more good times. No more good times. Anyways, so Lance is going on and brushing his teeth and putting on his shirt, so we have to assume that he probably had some good times with that woman. Lance shifts to one room to then 109 to further talk to Clara. Clara goes on and is to tell Lance that she needs to go on and do some traveling. Lance asks, like, well, you're coming back, right? And Clara's like, well, yeah, I'll be back. And Clara's to also tell Lance, like, well, hey, like, we shopped your tape around, and congratulations is to probably be in order. Like, there's nothing quite definitive yet, but like, it's still early, but like, if anything, we'll just kind of keep in touch. And Lance goes on and kisses Laura, and so she'll say she'll have like a conference with him. As the next thing we see, let me pause here for a second. Yeah, so that whole like Zoom chat thing, the thing that the producer was doing to Clara and all those people, yeah, like Clara's gonna go on to do the same thing with Lance. Lance is gonna go on and be with her in the same room, and the further and further they talk, eventually there'll be some scene for scene bits of intimacy between them through screen. So now going with Lisa. Lisa's going on and mopping up during the washers or around the washers and dryers. She goes on and sees a cup there. Lisa goes on and makes her way to Lance. He seems to be sitting at what looks like a cafeteria table. Lisa ends up asking Lance, "What's going on? I know how upset you get. You're very special. Let me love you." Lisa goes on and thrusts her hand by Lance's thigh. Lance takes away Lisa's hand and walks away. All of a sudden, Lisa's to kind of turn and cock her head, realizes that the store manager is behind her, and Lisa knows she's in South Creek, Shites Creek. She's in the crapper. She's going down. Things are gonna look well for Lisa right now, but it doesn't really seem that the storm or the hotel manager is willing to let Lisa go right here and there. But if anything, the hotel manager is going to go on and tell Lisa, it's like, well, like, I want to think of you as my children. And in all honesty, like, I do have favorites. Yes, I do. But so the hotel manager says that she's like, well, like, I care for all you people's being, all of your well-beings. Like, believe me, I do. Like, I really do care. uh like, I want to make this environment a comfortable and positive work environment. And yeah, like, I believe me, I do. So And so further and further, like the store manager is talking here. Uh, like it's to really just say it's like, well, like we're not going to go on, and we've gotten to a point where Lisa's to be like kind of sent to the principal's office, but they're not going to like they're really just kind of slapping her on the wrist here to be like, hey, like we're going on, and we uh we're not gonna like discipline you or anything, but we're just like yeah, maybe you should not go on and do what you're doing. Like it's gonna probably lead you to more meetings here, and eventually we'll probably just let you go, but we're not gonna do that so soon. So like there's not much of that dialogue here, but like this meeting between the two of them is to probably realize that Lisa's in some trouble here. That she should not have gone on and said what she had said or done what she had done. But anyways, Lisa makes her way back to After Dark Videos. And Lisa is not seeing Eddie there. She's going on and seeing another guy working at the store and is to ask where exactly Eddie is. The guy goes on and tells Lisa that he's shooting at a party. It's like, well, where's the party? And the guy's like, well, why? Lisa goes on to explain it's like, well, I'm helping him with shooting. So the guy of the clerk goes on to explain where Eddie is, and so the next thing we see here is Lance making his way to this conference call, while Lisa makes her way to this party. So Lisa goes on and meets with this bouncer who's like, okay, who are you? Lisa ends up explaining, well, yeah, I'm here with Eddie, the guy that's filming these things. I'm here to help him. This bouncer goes on and takes a picture of her, this Polaroid picture, and lets her in. We come to find that there are people disrobing here while Eddie is filming. Lance goes on, makes his way to this conference call, sees seemingly at the other corner of this table, Clara there, and eventually this is to kind of lead to very common talk where they're like, well, like, hey, how was your trip? How's your day going? And so on. It's like a lot of just common, just bullshit stuff. And Lance is like, I miss you. And she's like, really? And he's like, yeah. So the next thing we see again is Eddie filming things. And Elisa will eventually come up behind him and be like, what the heck are you doing here? But what we see after that is both Lance and both Clara here. They're going on and they're starting to clothe, they're starting to disrobe, and they're touching themselves and they're giving themselves a little bit of self pleasure. There's not much I can say beyond that because I probably haven't even to have actually justified to have actually needed to have said that either. But regardless, I'm effing saying it. It's too late now. So here's where Lisa creeps up behind Eddie, scares the crap out of him. And Eddie turns to Lisa like, hey, what are you doing here? And Lisa's like, well, I came to see if you needed any help. And he's like, no, I don't need any help. What are you doing here? Like, this is my job. Like, if anything, yeah, like, if Lisa affects anything that Eddie's doing, he could lose his job. He could lose this side business, this side hustle he's doing. And also, like, if word gets out, yeah, like, it could really affect his job. Like, just to have some rando come in here and just, yeah. So Eddie tells Lisa, it's like, well, hey, I will talk to you later. Just come by the store. I'll just talk to you then. Like, I'm definitely not going to have you here with me now. So go, leave. So Lisa does. And we see a number of people off the distance still getting intimate and so on and so forth within this area. Lance goes on and is to just be twiddling his thumbs with this maintenance housekeeping job. He's just kind of twiddling his thumb with a little bit of cleaning. He does vacuuming. we see Lisa going on, and she's like pressing these sheets. Like, I don't know what this machine is, but it looks like she's like pressing the sheets to like it's kind of like how you're ironing like a sheet, but like this is to be kind of be put in this actual machine that does it, I believe. Because that's the only thing I can think of what this thing is. I've never worked at a hotel before, so I have no idea what this machine is. I've never actually seen something like this. So let me know in the comments below exactly what it is if you've worked in a hotel before, because that'd be very much appreciated. She's like, "What the is this machine?" The next thing we see is Lance is shaving, and his shirt is unbuttoned. Oh no, unbuttoned shirt alerting. Anything. The next thing we go on and see is Lisa. She's going through this back area, and she has his towels with her. Lance has this meeting with Clara, and they go through their highs and hellos and how's your days, and what's going on with you, what's going on with you. Clara goes on to state that her day isn't going very well. Oh no, Clara, why isn't your day going well? I'm interested. I really am. So Lisa goes on to make her way to room 106. We have to remember here, Lance had gone into room 106 and been brushing his teeth while the woman was in the shower. So we're like, what was that all about? All right. All right. So Lisa goes on and makes her way to room 106 and is to, within the bathroom, hear a woman crying. And Lisa's to be like, "Hey, I have some towels for you. Housekeeping. Want some towels?" Towels! And the woman is just still consistently crying. So we'll come to find out later that this woman in 106 had decided to self-death herself, and Lisa will probably be the last person to have ever seen her alive, sadly enough. Eventually, there'll be people that are going on to question Lisa, like, well, yeah, like, you did mention that there was a woman in 106, and she was crying. Well, took her own life, sadly. So, anyways. But what was Lisa to exactly do? But also, she feels bad that she did not go on and do more because she could have maybe saved that woman's life. Because when she heard her crying, that meant that she was still alive. Anyways, so, but if anything, if she would have barged in more, that would have been, who knows what would have happened. So, here's where Clara breaks it to Lance that she's not the casting director. No, really? And Clara goes on and mentions that she's actually just the writer of the film. And Clara explains that, yeah, she did have input on the casting, and that's why she did audition Lance. They liked his audition, and he will probably have the part. He probably won't find out in a couple days, and there is to be a producer assistant that is also staying in her room for the next couple days. And also that's where the casting information is going to be kept. And Claire is to go on and tell Lance to sneak in after this woman is to make her way into this room, because she will go on and she will have this woman that's coming in there will have this revised script. And Clara needs Lance to get to the revised script to see how things are being done differently in the story. And Lance is going like, you want me to sneak in there? And how am I supposed to know that this girl isn't going to go on and find out? And Clara's like, well, hey, she's off getting married, so if anything, you're going to have plenty of time during a certain day to go on and get this script. And Lance is like, well, are you sure? And Clara's like, yes. So go on and go into the room at that time. So Lance is like, okay, like I'll get a copy then. Uh, and also Lance is like, well, why don't you have a copy? And Clara's like, well, I'm just the writer. Like they're revising things, yeah. So all right. So the next thing we see is this wedding going on. Trish and Ronnie getting married. Good for them. Huzzah, huzzah. Congratulations for your fake wedding because you're actors, you're doing a film, and whatever. So we have set up that Eddie and Lisa are going on and they're having this couch and they have this fake wood background in the background. So they're going to go on and pull people aside and go into this whole questionnaire thing that Eddie has gone on and done in the past. So Lisa wants to go on and be the interviewer this time. And Eddie's like, "Are you sure? Like, we're gonna go on and we're gonna interview the bride. Like, don't do anything fancy here." And Lisa's like, "No, like, I just want to interview this person, and so that way you don't have to do it." And so Eddie's like, "Okay, like if anything, just kind of capture her sense of excitement for this event. Like, just yeah, just kind of go on." And so Lisa, uh, Lisa goes on and leaves to uh, try to find people. So she goes on and finds this old man, which we've gone on and seen him prior. He was the guy who was in the other video that had gone on to be the father of the bride. Now, or no, the yeah, the father of the bride before. Now he is to be the father of the groom now. Yeah, the groom now. So the two of them make their way, both father and Lisa, and they're trying to find the bride and groom. In the background, we go on, we have the producer guy. He is to be a part of this wedding also because he is to be the the daughter's father. So he's going on and doing this whole speech about this special evening and fairy tales and that this is a dream come true. And when two people are as special as Ronnie and Trish get married, yeah, he's kind of doing the cliche of wedding speech here to just be like to try to really say something profound because he's not actually physically there. He's on location or via satellite or whatever, and he's going on and he wants to say something profound for this wedding. So Lisa has gone on to find both bride and groom is going on Ronnie and talking about how he first met her when she was in this little bikini and start joking around, ha 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 ha. So Lisa goes on to ask the groom, it's like, well, hey, can I just get Trish alone and ask her some questions? And Ronnie's like, well, why? And Lisa's like, well, I just want to get her perspective. Like, I just want to. And so Ronnie's like, "Are you going to ask her questions about me?" And like he's just kind of poking around, like this just seems kind of weird. And Lisa's just like, "No, no, no, no! Like just like I just want to ask her questions all alone and just kind of see what answer she gets." And so it's like, okay, like I guess so, yeah. Like so, Ronnie leaves and Trish is now by herself. So Lance now makes his way to again yet another conference room where he in the background is to see his performance. And at this point, Clara is to go on and explain to Lance that this is to be on the tape to say finalized. So Lance is going to go on and get this job. He's going to get the speaking part. So Clara's like, well, yeah, definitely congratulations are in order. You're going to get the speaking part. So, yeah, like you're going to get this. So Clara goes on and tells Lance to turn to page 73, and so he does. So Lance will go on and eventually come to find that the talk show thing is still there. And Clara's like, yeah, I don't really want that talk show thing in there. So you, as an actor, need to try to convince the producer to change this because I have talked to them in the past and they didn't care. Maybe if you go on, you film enough scenes in this movie, maybe you'll have more leverage to go on and change their minds to force them into not doing the whole talk show thing. And Lance goes on and tells Clara, it's like, well, I'm just an actor. Like, if anything, they can just fire me. And in all honesty, they've gone on in the past and they've had certain actors that have done certain movies that they've completely replaced and reshot the whole thing. Like a big movie. Back to the Future, the very first one. At some point, there was actually a alternative actor instead of Michael J. Fox within the film. And they went back, reshot a good chunk of the movie with Michael J. Fox. And yeah, so really there is to go on and be that weird timeline of thing that they used in the Flash movie that mentioned that the other guy had gotten the part instead of Michael J. Fox. But anyways, now with Trish, or now with Trish and Lisa here. So Lisa goes on and asks Trish a question about love. And the way of which that she goes on and phrases it here kind of eventually sets Trish off in the wrong direction. Because Lisa goes on and says, like, well, hey, like, is loving him easy? Like, and Trish is like, I don't know what you mean here. Like, have there been times when it didn't seem so certain that you were in love with this guy Ronnie? And we have Trish look at Lisa. It's like, why ask these questions? Like, why go on and ask if there has been times where, because eventually Lisa will say, it's like, well, have there been times where you've had like second guessing, or like, have you had cold feet? And further and further that Lisa keeps poking at this, Trish is like, I'm not answering any of these questions. And she books. She leaves. She gets upset. She goes to her groom. The groom goes on and gets very upset with Lisa, even to the point where they go back in the room where the camera is, and Ronnie kind of thrusts the camera in Lisa's face. That's how upset he gets. For how stupid Lisa was with upsetting her on their wedding day. So here's where Lance goes on and reads Scene 87, a large television studio. So yeah, they did make no adjustments of which that Claire wanted. And like the talk show has the theme of organ transplants. And so it's like, all right, so Claire's like, well, that's definitely not what I wrote. And they've changed the script. So uh, Clara's like, well, yeah, if I go on and I'll complain about it, they'll just fire me. But maybe if you complain about it, maybe they'll change it. So Clara goes on and tells Lance, please make these changes. Do I need to beg? Do I need to plead to you? Please try to make these changes so that way you can convince them to adjust this movie. Lance goes on and promises to Clara that he will make the changes and he will go on, he will speak up. So it's good for Lance. He does go on and have a heart here. And eventually, this will also go on to lead to when Clara doesn't get her way, that Lance isn't going to come back to her and say anything to her. He's going to make her just disappear in his mind. Like when she continues to call him, he won't answer because he just wants to just do the movie at this point. He just wants to get this role, this money, this thing on his resume at this point. But eventually, this will technically blow up in his face because we'll get there. Maybe the stress of it all. Because eventually, Lance will be told by the producer as he further talks to him. It's like, well, yeah, this is actually a true story that Claire's brother had given up his life for Claire to get this lung transplant, and the producer is to go on while talking to Lance and kind of convince him why, like the producer's ideas are the best, or the better of ideas, rather than what Claire originally had on the original script. We'll get to that eventually. So I'm heavily rushing here, uh, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I'm just kind of really just rushing out to just have already talked about here, and I'm skipping around a lot. I've really bashed through a lot of right now. Uh, we have Clara that after this kind of conversation between both Lance and the two of the men, it's like, well, Clara's like, well, yeah, like you have my number, you can call me anytime. Yeah, that probably won't be happening after a certain point. And Clara's to go on and ask Lance, like, well, what are you thinking right now? And Lance is like, nothing. And Clara goes on to tell Lance, like, well, yeah, still, congratulations on getting the part. You must be very excited. And Lance is like, yeah, I am. So Eddie goes on to tell Lisa, look, I'm sorry about pointing the finger at you. You see what I mean about you being a bit, it's a bit tricky to interview people. And Lisa's like, well, yeah, I get it. I lost my objective. Yeah, like, probably for Lisa, like, she got kind of self greedy here. She went on her own agenda. Uh, she did her own thing, and it kind of costed her. To where Eddie probably doesn't want to work with her anymore now. So Eddie tells Lisa, "Oh, hey, I gotta get back. Can you get a home okay?" And Lisa's like, "Well, you don't want me around, like." And Eddie's like, "Well, hey, like I'll just see you at the shop. Like I'll see you at the shop. Just still trying to be nice. Like tomorrow, okay? Like we're gonna see one another again." So the next thing we see here is Lisa going on with her towels, and she finds out the 106 room has a stretcher, paramedics coming out of it, and the woman of 106 had died of self death. The producers go on, or the producer goes on and tells Lance that the whole sister idea has now drastically been changed, and now there is to be a brother brother situation, And so the producer hands Lance this picture of who he's going to be working alongside with. And so he gives them a picture of Ronnie, who is to be uh, the guy that his daughter is to be married to. That's why he's like, oh yeah, definitely I'll go on and I'll thrust him in this movie, because it's all about like this guy getting this acting role because he's relative to me. As well as also we'll see the father of the bride, or the father of the groom, the guy that we saw earlier. Yeah, he'll also get an extra role in this movie. So the producer goes on to explain about the whole brother thing, and Lance is like, well, what has kind of changed in this film so far? And the producer's like, well, yeah, you're still gonna go on, you're still gonna give him his lung, or you're still gonna give him his lung. Uh, and Lance is like, well, yeah, but like originally the whole thing was the whole sister thing. And the producer's like, well, yeah, there's been some changes. It's just round and round we go with that. So the hotel manager has Lisa in her office, and they're talking to a investigator, I'm assuming, and they're talking about the woman who had self death in 106, and uh, talked to Lisa about how she was the last one to see her alive, and that's about it. The next thing we see is the producer who is to be with his daughter, and Lance is stating that he wants somebody to kind of look over his contract before he quickly signs this. And the producer's like, well, who are you going to have look at your contract? And Lance is like, well, just some lawyer, like it won't take too much time. And the producer's like, well, like if anything, like I hope not, like I just don't want any trouble here. And so it's like, yeah. So the producers to go on and tell Lance like, well, hey, like if anything, I'm being in a meeting tomorrow. Like maybe the two of us can meet after that. And eventually, this meeting after that will be like kind of screen to conference room again. So Lance goes on and says to the producer, it's like, man, you must be really busy. And the producer's like, well, yeah, I'm filming like 3 different projects as well as also this, but this one actually is really special to me. Bullshit. I'm sure that he wants to say that, like to the certain actor that he's working with, like, but also there are plenty of people that are going on and probably say that like, well, yeah, all of the projects, like, yeah, they really go on and they do stuff because they really want to do it, or some of it's just the money exchange. But anyways, so now back with Lisa. The inspector goes on and is to ask Lisa if Lisa had gone on to see anybody coming in and out of that room 106. And that, yeah, she had delivered the towels and someone was crying in there, so someone was still alive. The inspector says like, well, hey, did you see anybody? Did you see possibly a guy like Lance? And Lisa's like, no. uh, and the inspector's like, well, are you absolutely positive? And she's like, yes, I hadn't seen Lance at all. Lance is going on and thumbing through the revisions, thumbing through the script, looking through things. So the inspector speak question to Lisa like, well, hey, have you gone on and have you received any gifts, or has Lance received any? And the hotel manager say like, none of our people who've worked here have received any gifts. It's not allowed. So Lisa makes her way to Lance's room, obviously while Lance is not there. Lisa goes on to say to Lance, hey, like, I heard that you're sick. He's not really sick. He's going on and doing the producer thing. So Lisa's to go on and talk to Lance via his door, and is to say about the whole, like, that she could have saved somebody last night because she heard her crying, but she didn't. She didn't act, and is asking Lance, has that ever happened to him? Just as something to kind of relate to or talk about, and there is no answer, so Lisa just has to be forced to leave. Clara makes her way back to her brother's coffin, his area that he used to be held. And again, she watches that same footage again. And then we come to find that she's in the scene. She has her camera with her, and she's just going on, and she's just there, just kind of doing her thing. So the next thing we see is Lisa watching another film where Lance is in the background. He's in a diner scene, and he just kind of turns and he's like, and further we zoom in to Lance here. So here is where both Clara and Lance again are having another conversation. Lance is telling Clara about the changes of the script, and that is the reason why Lance is to not go on and to talk to the producer just yet. He wanted to go on and he wanted to talk to Claire because of the changes in the script. So Claire has to realize that there is no longer a sister in the script. So Claire goes on and starts laughing because, like, oh my god, I myself have been completely written out of this story, and it's my story. Claire is to go on and ask Lance, like, hey, you need to ask him why exactly is to be changed. And Lance is like, well, why can't you just ask? And Clara's like, well, like, because I'm already about to be fired off of this project anyways. So, like, it's meaningless for me to try to do anything. So, Clara goes on and tells Lance, like, well, you have to say something. And Lance is like, I will. It's going to be difficult, but I'll try. And Clara's like, okay, well, you have my phone number. Uh, and Lance is like, yes, I'll call you. And she's like, promise? And he's like, yes. Yeah, sadly enough. Man. Come on, Lance. Really convince these producers that this movie needs to be changed for Clara, but feasibly you just want to freaking get paid. You just want this resume on your thing. Anyways, so the next thing we oddly see here is Lisa watching the television, and the scene has now changed. We realize that Lisa, it seems, hasn't really been sleeping that well, and Lisa is starting to see things because she's been just watching these movies over and over and over again. It's been rotting her brain within. Maybe my brain has a little bit of brain rot. I'm not quite sure. We'll have to figure that out next time on on Power Rangers. No, no, no. Anyways, so I'm just making a joke here. So Lisa's going on and watching the television here, and she's seeing legs in the background. She's seeing the hotel manager, and she's seeing Lance, and they're talking. And Lisa's like, Lance, what's happening? What's going on? And Lance is like, we're having a talk. And Lisa's like, about what? It's like, I can't tell you. It's like, why not? And further and further that Lisa needs answers and demanding them, the further and further the screen starts to turn into static, and Lance is like, and then, like, yeah, there is no answer from Lance, sadly enough. So the next thing we see is that the producer is getting ready to do this the Zoom call. I say Zoom call, it's not really a Zoom call, but it just looks like that. So just kind of my apologies for my just way of which to figure out a term here. So Lance goes on and calls the producer, and he goes on to state that he needs an apartment while shooting, of course, this movie, because one, he's probably going to not really go on and do his hotel job, so he might not have a place to stay, but also I think that Lance was kind of going through all these women just so he could have a place to sleep at night, because he probably didn't actually have an actual place. So more than likely, yeah, like Lance doesn't actually have a place to stay. That's why he asked this producer for a place to stay while he's filming. The producer's like, okay, that's just kind of just small potatoes. Yeah, I'll let you go on and have a place while you're filming. And Lance goes on and says, yeah, like also, I want you to adjust the script to bring back in the sister, and also to get rid of the talk show thing and do the hospital, like the very first script. And the producer's like, why? And Lance goes on of like, well, like it seemed that the original script was more authentic, and it feels that if we're going to make these adjustments, we're just going to go on and kind of cheapen the original vision of the author. And so the producer goes on and says, how many movies have you done? Like, do you know how many projects that I've done? Like, how much TV have you watched that I've made? Probably a lot of it, right? Like, you've watched TV, right? And Lance is like, well, yeah. Then the producer's like, well, then you've seen projects that I've done. So the producer goes on and convinces him that, like, yeah, this story is very personal to me, and we're gonna go on and we're going to uh, try to respect the original idea, uh, but this just works as my as this story, uh, and it's my job uh, to direct it and even act in it, uh, and do all these things, so that we like we'll go on to have this very important. And so the producer goes on to explain Lance why this story was so important to Clara, how it was to actually be her life story, that her brother had given her life for her. And the producers go on and realize that Lance had spoken to Clara and has a really good connection with her. And so that's why Lance is fighting so much to try and have these adjustments be put together. Because the producers go on and be like, oh, so you must know her. Oh, like that's so you're kind of speaking through her. So the producer's going on and saying all that he is to go on and say like, well, well, yeah, like the revised things are very much more original, and I'd watch it, and people have always watched what I like to watch. So, uh, and you have since you were a kid, right? So yeah, so you're definitely gonna go on, and you're going to eventually just do this project. And he walks away. I'll see you on set, and then he leaves. So Lance is very defeated, and Clara goes on and is to leave uh, Lance this message. And we come to find that the roses that were in the beginning of the film are now almost dead. They're almost yeah. Lance didn't take care of them, sadly enough. Yeah, Clara goes on and leaves a message. Uh, why aren't you returning my messages? I have to know what he said. Do you care about me at all? Do you? Do you know what I'm going through? I guess he doesn't really care at some point. There's nothing he can do. He probably feels like maybe because he's going on and treating you like how he's gonna, but he needs this job. He wants this speaking part. So maybe he's selling his soul to do it. So Lisa makes her way to Eddie, and Lisa tells Eddie that this tape is different and that she's starting to see things. And Eddie's like, you really need some sleep. It doesn't look like you've been sleeping. Go and get some sleep. So the more and more that Lisa is trying to just argue with Eddie about there's new scenes and there's like uh Eddie's like, you know what, I think you should cool it off with these tapes. You've probably seen them way too often. Like, yeah, stop. You need to stop. So Lisa leaves, disregarding what Eddie had to say. So now we get to the talk show. The producer's going around to tell all the extras how they should be acting, how they should be acting. Really just try and buy into the fact that, yeah, this is a set. This is not actually a talk show, but just to try to make it as convincing as you can that this is a talk show, even though, like, just kind of react to what's going on. And yeah. So, like, even if this has probably been a thing that you have probably overheard numerous times over, because maybe some people may have to call a cut, maybe have to go through the lines over and over. Yeah. So, plus also, who knows what time of night at this is? I just gone on to recently watch an interview that Charlie Sheen did about Major League, where he'd gone on and talked about how there was one point where he had gone on and needed to have gotten out of the bullpen, and it was like 3 in the morning at some stadium somewhere, and he's like, man, people are starting to fall asleep, and but yeah, everybody was trying to like, yeah, woo, yeah. So, and plus also like Charlie Sheen had to like throw a huge number of pitches like every single day, like he never got a really good day off. So that kind of tells you about the Charlie Sheen Major League movie. So we have the producer that goes on and he has David stand up. Well, Lance, who's playing David. And so the producers are going on and telling everybody, like, hey, yeah, this is David, like, or this is Lance who's playing David, like, he's gonna be one of our actors. He's gonna go on and he's gonna go on and he's gonna be reacting to his brother, and also, hey, yeah, like, give us that live feed of at the hospital. and they show the live feed of Ronnie, who's now in this hospital bed. He looks to be coughing and sick, and then he's like, "Arr!" at the camera. So here's where they start the scene. We come to find out that the producer is to be this talk show host. So yeah, he's the guy that's really hogging up the camera right now. What a douche. And they talk about body organs and who gets them on and who decides. We have the host that turns to the doctor, Dr. Spencer, and the doctor is to say, it's like, well, the main problem is getting access to these donors. The public doesn't seem to be aware on the desperate need of organs. And so the producer goes on to say, it's like, well, what about the case of David? And how often do lungs become available? So maybe Lance isn't playing David. Maybe David is the Ronnie guy. My bad. I got a little confused here. Maybe at some point they cleared up about who Lance actually is. Uh, oh, he'll be playing the brother of David. My bad. It's like I got a little confused there because I'm like, wait, isn't Lance David? No, like it says that Lance will be playing the brother of David. My bad. I got confused. Anyways, so the producer will go on and continue to talk to this doctor about the possibility of getting organs and that lungs are usually the first thing to get damaged. Lisa makes her way into room 106 to look around the room, and she finds a camera in there. Right, what I would believe is a camera. Maybe she's going on and breaking the fourth wall. I don't know. At this point, it's really towards the end of the movie, and things are really starting to get confused because of how this movie is to just be shot of just like the way they just kind of cram a lot of stuff by the end, and it's like, what the is going on? So the host is going on the talk show and wanting to talk to David's parents. And they cut to David's parents and they show the father of the bride guy, who is eventually the father of the groom, and he's in the background. So it's like, aha, another guy that they wanted as an extra in this film. So now we see Clara, and she's back with her brother Clarence, still mourning the loss of his death, rewatching the footage again at her brother's coffin. But then oddly, the next thing we also see here, which is also confusing, is also we think that we're seeing Clara also at the talk show, and she thrusts a gun to her head, and she's willing to pull the trigger. And I'm like, okay, so is Clara funeral or Clara talk show? I would assume also maybe Lance is just having so much stress come to him that really he's just hallucinating and seeing Clara there, and the more and more that he does not go on and step in and try to stop this movie from continuing to happen, the more that uh, like he maybe just feels guilty about him being a part of this role and not doing what Clara wants, as well as also Lance probably still having uh, horrible problems dealing with that other woman who had died, while Lance just clearly did not give a fuck, did not give an F. So, because Lance will jump up here and say that he's David's brother, and he'll start to talk, and eventually that's where David starts to see Clara in the audience, and she's putting a gun to her head, and David screams no, and then we cut uh, to Lisa going back to her apartment room. Lance is there, kind of laying down next to her door. Lisa opens the door, goes into her place. Lance goes on to just touch Lisa onto the shoulder. Uh, Lance and Lisa turn to one another and they kiss, and that's how the movie ends. I guess we could probably say that maybe Lisa and Lance are probably just so damaged goods that maybe they're just meant for one another. I don't know what this ending means. Like, if anything, I would have thought that Lisa would have ended up with Lance. That would have made a lot more sense in my brain, but that's not what happens. So we're just left with throwing our hands up, just being like, "What the was this ending?" If anybody could probably justify it in my head why this ending is to be justified with the ending, then like I would just be like, okay, maybe that makes sense. But like to me, the ending just like I was so confused about it. To be like, why are these two perfect for one another? Like, is Lance going to go on and just use Lisa because he has no one else to go to, so he's going to just use her? Like, has Lance finally got on to realize that Lisa has been the only good thing for him and that Lisa is not going to go on and want Lance to do something for her or what? No, that Lisa just wants Lance and that's all. And maybe that's why finally Lance is convinced to like, oh no, like I should just go back to Lisa now because if anything, uh, she's the only woman that didn't want to like who like I'm trying to rationalize all this in my head after I was watching this film, and the more and more I try to figure something out, the more answers I have, or the more questions I have than answers. So yeah, the ending like kind of frustrated me, but also there are probably other movies where like the endings are probably just to frustrate people, like Castaways or maybe High Tension or whatever. But I'm gonna just try to get the heck out of here so I can get this uploaded today. And also, this is 2 hours well beyond the viewing thing. I don't really care at this point. I'm like, man, if it's under 2 hours, golden for me. Plus, also, I'd spoken for X number of minutes and whatever before this whole thing got run. So whatever. I'm trying my best to at least try to get something under a certain time period. So thank you for watching this. However you watched it, if you just watched it the first minute or two, still that's thank you for doing so because I do appreciate it. There was a lot of times where I obviously just does not I did not know where I was going. I'm still not really good at this. I'm never going to be. But if anything, I'll just maybe at some point just get lucky, and that's all it'll take. It's better to be lucky than skilled or smart. Um, but if anything, I guess I'll just kind of whatever I can use in my arsenal to plop on here as a thing that people may actually want to go on and check out this movie out. Then that's what I'll just have to do. Uh, Hopefully I'll go on and I'll do something that people will want to watch, or if this ends up being one that actually does well, then I'm like, great. Um, like it was surprising to see certain projects actually doing well, and it seems that the Running Man is starting to get some traction and stuff like that. Uh, Shopping was definitely one of those where it's like cool, like thing that I actually did want to go and do well actually did. So I was happy about that because I actually did like that movie. It's a really fun movie. So if you haven't seen that review, check it out. I guess there are some stuff that is actually seeing some traction. It's just like it's gonna take a long process. People are gonna have to find these things randomly and like, what the is this? And hopefully that ends up being one of these. But thank thank you for going on and seeing this project. If you do, or if not, then uh, at the end of the day, I'll just keep being consistently doing these. and get the heck out of here. Come on, everybody. Come on, everybody.